everybody? Welcome to Eagles Pregame Live. Eagles take on the Washington Commanders. Me and my man LJ from the Kelly Green Hour podcast are here to break it down, top matchups to watch, predictions, everything in between. What's going on, LJ?
Hey, man, what's going on? I'm excited. Finally, a home divisional game and a 1 o'clock game. We were talking beforehand. I think we both prefer the 1 o'clocks. Get it out the way. Don't have to stress to 4. Don't have to stress to 8. Don't have to stress till Monday night. Let's just get the game, let it play, let them win, and then we can enjoy football the rest of the day.
Exactly, right? Like, I love making my food here. The smell in this room is ridiculous. And then you can have some drinks. You can cry a little bit, laugh a little bit.
I mean, and we're facing each other.
You can have a good time.
We can look into that, too.
All right, guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment. What is your gut feeling? What is your vibe heading to this divisional matchup with the Washington Commanders? We have Anthony chiming in. What's going on, Anthony? Let us know your vibe, but you lead us off, LJ. Like, what's your gut feeling right now for the 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I mean, coming into the game, my gut feeling coming into the game, I don't want to call myself a pessimist, but I'm always nervous going into an Eagles game. Anything can happen, especially a division matchup. Like we saw last year, the Eagles were 8-0 going into that. Was it a Monday night game against Washington, and Washington won the game. They controlled the line of scrimmage. Then the Eagles went out and got Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh after that. So, the Eagles had less than 20 minutes of time of possession that game. I mean, I don't foresee that happening again. It's a totally different offense that Washington's bringing in with Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But in terms of the season, look, I always go off of what Jalen says. The main thing is the main thing, and that's winning. He doesn't care about stats. Like we all look at, he has only 3 touchdown passes, and he has 3 interceptions and a fumble. Obviously, he has a couple rushing touchdowns. And like everybody's like, well, he's not playing up to that standard that he had last year, and that $250 million contract that he has. He doesn't care about his stats. All he wants to do is win. He's 20-1 in his last 21 games. So if we keep winning, I don't care if we win 2-0. I don't care if we win 38-35. As long as we win, get the W, and continue on to potential, number 1 seed in the NFC, so that we can have all the games at the link.
Yeah, I agree. The offense has definitely started slow. I'm gonna go more heavy into the numbers in a little bit, but like I have seen flashes of Jalen Hurts showing progress, showing growth against the blitz. I have seen Brian Johnson, Jalen Hurts on the same page, in that respect. And Jalen Hurts and his poise, rather than abandoning the pocket, staying in the pocket, delivering throws on a dime. That's what I've seen from Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, the surface stats aren't as pretty, but there has been definite growth. What's going on? Oh, go ahead.
Come on, gentlemen. Sorry for the lateness.
No worries.
I just kind of joined in, but I agree with you totally. I think I said that in the last game, or my last show, and the shows before that. Every game's been progress. And it's not just Jalen, but Jalen's a big one, and it's a new dance. You got a new coordinator working with the quarterback, even though they kind of know each other, but you still got to get a feel for each other. And every week we see them getting better. I mean, it's not like we've seen regression; we've only seen progression. And what more can you ask for? We've always said this a million times. Weeks 1 through 3,
preseason.
They're preseason. It's preseason games. Like to me, this is exactly how it's supposed to play out. That's why when I see like these other teams, Cowboys, that go like who just dominate the first games against weaker opponents, that everybody gets so high about. I don't get it. Like I'm just saying, like if the Eagles came out like that, would I be excited? Hell yes. But at the same time, cautious optimism.
And I mentioned it on my show all the time. You don't win the Super Bowl in September. You want to, and Sirianni says it all the time too. We're not trying to win the Super Bowl today. We're just trying to eat better each and every day, and that's what the Eagles are doing. And also, if you think about Brian Johnson has never called plays in the NFL. He went up against Bill Belichick, Brian Flores, Todd Bowles. He gets Jack Del Rio this week. Like he's being thrown into the fire. And he has worked, and he has gotten better week after week, and he is getting into rhythm with what Sirianni wants to do and with what Jalen, wants to do. So, like you said, progress every week. If we start seeing the regression, in a month, then we can talk about that, and we can talk about the issues. But we're not seeing that right now. They're winning games. That's all that matters.
And the defense, and we'll get into that soon, but is playing on a just unbelievable level. And I don't think enough people are talking about just how elite this run defense has been for the Eagles. Steven says, normally I say it's the NFL and blowouts aren't common, but game 4, he's going 40-14. Philadelphia Eagles get the W. Anthony says it'll be a close game. Eagles pulled out 17-28, and no one likes Washington.
Their fans might now that they got a new owner, but they didn't before.
Listen, he might not be as bad as Snyder, but they didn't get a much better. They didn't make an upgrade in that world. I'm sorry.
I mean, you Sixer fans know about that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you just kind of got the Dan Snyder 2.0, like the less cheaper version.
He's just not as polarizing as Dan Snyder.
No.
All right. We didn't get your vibe heading into this week, Al. Like, what's your gut feeling for the 3-0 Eagles?
I think we just mentioned before would be my vibe is progress and just getting better. That to think that this it's fans, people do that, but just to think that we're gonna come out just like we left off last year would be just crazy. Any team's not gonna be that good right away, or any team's not gonna always just repeat where they left off from. If it happens, great, grand, wonderful. But my vibe is progression and excitement. Like, we all should be excited for these Eagles team. Maybe every game didn't play out how you would hope with it just donuts up on the defensive side of the ball and just putting 35 plus points on the offense side. But that's not going to happen all the time, especially, LJ, like you said, you have some of the better defensive minded coaches that you went up against with new coordinators, new systems, all this stuff. I'm just excited. Like, we should be excited. I was excited after winning. Like, I know, like, a lot of people had New England beating the Eagles in week 1, which I could see like that upset coming along. But again, they even making mistakes, they still win. And that's what good teams do. One of the things we always say good teams do is even though you make mistakes, you still find a way to win. If they were finding ways to lose in this progress, I mean, everybody had Minnesota as one of the top teams in the NFL. But look at them. They're in week 4. They're begging for a win because they could be done by week 5.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited. And I hate to, throw more homerisms into this pregame show, but I love watching young guys grow, and we're watching 2 guys on the defensive line that have completely blown away the competition in Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Last week we saw Cam Jurgens take a really good step forward in his growth. He was terrific in that Eagles zone blocking scheme there. Reed Blankenship was fantastic. There's been a lot of really strong positives for a lot of the young guys on the Eagles, which I love watching. That's always been my thing. We have Steven saying, without struggle, there is no progress. Al, I'm going to throw it to you real quick before we get into matchups of the game for a quick ad. You're up, man.
Oh, yeah. I was sorry I was joining late, so I was a little off my game. But don't forget, if you get off your game a little bit and get yourself in trouble, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, you name it, he is the man with the plan that's going to take care of you, fight for your rights. David R. Cherry at the Cherry Firm. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com or simply call Dave at 610-565-0300. Like I always tell you guys, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury can change your life, turn it upside down, and you need the best lawyer to fight for your rights. And David R. Cherry is that man. That number again is 610-565-0300.
All right, guys, we are about to deep dive into our favorite matchups between the Eagles and Commanders. Let's get it. All right, top matchups to watch. Lead us off, LJ. What is something you're watching here against the Commanders?
So I have 3 matchups that I'm really looking forward to. First, the Eagles' interior offensive line against Payne and Allen. Payne and Allen are – we can do the whole Eagles' offensive line against that defensive line for Washington, all first-round picks. But that's going to be – the Eagles have dominated the line of scrimmage the last 2 weeks against the Vikings and the Bucs. And, DeAndre Swift has gone off. I want to see them continue that against this. Now, Washington's not a great run defense. They obviously like to get after the passer. So if the Eagles are able to open up holes for, Swift and Gainwell, and if they give Penny the ball, maybe him too, then that could open up things in the passing game. My second one is Emmanuel Forbes against Devontae Smith. When Forbes got drafted, he said the one matchup he was looking forward to was Devontae, because Devontae lit him up in college for like 200+ yards in the Alabama-Mississippi State game. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll see if he's moving around. I don't think that Fuller is going to be able to cover A.J. Brown either. So if there's going to be a week for the Eagles to get the passing game going, it should be this week. And my last one is going to be whoever's playing slot, whether it be Bradbury, whether it be I would have said Sidney Brown, but he's out. But whoever's playing the slot, and if it's against McLaurin, if it's against Samuel, Dotson, whoever's going to be in there, have to find a way to win that matchup. McLaurin usually has really good games against the Eagles. So Slay, if he's going to shadow him, he's going to have to be on top of his game. So those three matchups I'm really looking forward to when the game kicks off.
All right. Those are three key matchups for LJ. Al, what's something you're watching here?
Well, one of them I have is not same, pretty much what LJ said. Eagles D-line versus the Commanders O-line, as well as back and forth. But the D-line versus the O-line, the Commanders O-line, not great. D-line could definitely – we always say they can eat. It seems like kind of a cliche thing to say all the time, but this can be a week to get to them, because at the same time, my next matchup would be Sam Howell versus the Birds secondary. Sam Howell already has 5 interceptions on the year, 4 of them against a good defense in Buffalo. The other one against Arizona. If these guys bring the pressure, I think you're looking at a 3 interception type day easily for Sam Howell. And again, kind of playing off each other, that Eagles D-line could play tag team and help that slot out a little bit, because if they do their job, it doesn't matter. It could be me out there, and I can cover McLaurin at that point.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Before I get into mine, I'm going to go to some comments. Keep them coming, guys. Quentin says, what, if anything, should we fear about the Commanders? I have 0 positions where the Commanders are better than the Eagles. Safety, linebacker. That are the only 2 that is debatable. Anybody have any, like, Cameron Curl? He's nice, but like,
I mean, I don't have it. Again, the defensive line for Washington is good. So like, while we don't anticipate the Eagles' offensive line struggling, there's that potential that they could get after Hurts. But I mean, it is tough. And the one thing, you cannot allow Sam Howell to beat you. I don't think he's any good. And like he's been, and you were talking about how their offensive line's bad. I mean, he's been sacked 19 times in 3 games. Yeah. There should be no reason that we shouldn't get out. Hassan Reddick should get off the snide today. Like he should.
No cast.
Yep, no cast. He should be feeling himself. Josh Sweat and then Jalen Carter. Now let me ask you guys this, because I posed this question to Connor yesterday when we were doing our pregame show. Is Jalen Carter the best player on this Eagles defense in 3 games into his career? Is it like it's crazy to think so?
It's hard not to say it. I guess there could be an argument almost for anything, because we're Philadelphia fans and you can argue almost anything. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to say it. I mean, you saw the comparisons between him and Hargrave after the first few games. He has a couple notches up on him already, and that's what's the big with no Hargrave. I mean, Ken Carter, is Jordan Davis going to be any good? We don't even know. Yeah, the answer is yes. He's been great. I mean, let's call for what it is. So to argue the facts for a guy his size, we say this a lot about a lot of our players. We used to say this about Mailata for the way he can move for a guy his size. But for a guy his size to be one of the guys fastest off the snap, off the ball, come on. I mean, they call him Baby Rhino, but he's like a Rhino Cheetah amalgamation. I don't know what you call it with that. So all right now in 3 games, it's hard not to say that.
Yeah, and he plays at such an important position there. That's such a key, I think it's underrated when it comes, that is the key cog for a defense. And that's why they're generating so much pressure. That's why the Eagles can rush for and not have to blitz. They're among the bottom tier in the NFL when it comes to blitz. But when it comes to pressure percentage, they're at the top. And I think Jalen Carter is a huge piece of that. What he does for everyone else, how he gets in the backfield, his twitch at that size, Al, like you said, is just different. It's just different, man.
I coach football for high schoolers and younger kids, and I tell them all the time, if these guys up front do their job, the rest of them can take the day off.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to have the best secondary if your front 4 or 5 are just going through and wreaking havoc. But like you said, with Hassan Reddick coming out, this is about the time last year when he had his coming out party. No cast on. I can think he could be. This is going to be a big game for him. You don't think it's in his head that, oh, I haven't been playing that great. He knows that, and he's going to want to make up for it. And then you got guys like, and you know what they're doing. They're game planning for Jalen Carter. They're game planning for Jordan Davis, and they're game planning for Fletcher Cox. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
It's not a resurgence. That's the funny thing is, it's the same thing. BG had his best season last year, right? Mm-hmm. You think that has anything to do with having young guys up front where he can take the pressure off of him? Because if you got to worry about Jalen Carter, you got to worry about Jordan Davis, you got to worry about Josh Sweat. They used to double team Fletch all the time. All the time. That's what they would do, right? That's how they slowed Fletch down. You can't. You have no choice in the matter. You got to send a running back or 2 up there to block. They got a guy in Robinson who could help block a little bit, but I don't care. It's Jordan Davis. You saw what he could do. He turned right around and he like lunged and punched at the same time. The guy's an athletic freak.
Yeah, on the safety last week against Tampa, he didn't even get off the ball that well. He stood the center up and threw him back into the running back, which allowed Morrow to get the safety. Like, he doesn't have to, like, we talk about Carter's get off, and he's only playing, 48% of the snaps. Imagine when he starts to get more playing time. Like, you have to double, like you said, you have to double team Carter. That's going to leave Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Josh. Like, that's going to leave everybody else one-on-one. And then if the Eagles ever go to a 5-man front, good luck. Like, I don't know what the heck, the opposing offensive lines are going to do then.
Wasn't that safety amazing? Like, I probably watched that play 5 different times. You had Jalen Carter in there. You had Jordan Davis eating up double teams, left a wide open lane for Zach Cunningham to blow it up and get into the backfield. Like, we're going to be watching. We're going to be seeing that for years.
Well, when that happened, I'm sitting there watching. I remember they got the interception. Everybody was a very athletic, crazy interception, great play. But once I saw like they're on the 1, 2, 3 yard line, I'm like, I think this is almost a give me safety with this front. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I actually turned to my friend I was watching. I'm like, they're going to get the safety. They're just going to get 2 points to get the ball back. That's what's going to happen. It's just an elongated 9 points. That's what I figured it was going to be.
Yep. Steven says, I wish there was a way to measure how much Kelsey iron has sharpened Carter and Davis iron. Yeah, who knows?
We know. Ask B. where he was.
Hassan, right? We talk about it all the time in camp when they go one-on-ones. It's ironing, sharpen iron. They all get better.
Yep. Anthony says Derek Barnett is MIA because he's learning his next career move as a toilet cleaner. Oh my God. Has he played at all? I don't even remember hearing his name.
He has his snap percentage is higher than Nolan Smith's right now.
Yeah,
I want that flipped. I want Nolan Smith on the field.
Yeah. Nolan Smith had a nice pressure in his first quarterback hit last week. Steven says Scary Terry and St. Juice always gave us problems. He's very physical with our wide receivers. They did surprise us. All right. I'm going to get into my top matchups to watch. Leading off, we already kind of mentioned it, the Eagles pass rush versus the Commanders O-line. Like LJ said, Washington has given up 19 sacks through 3 games. That's the most of any team in almost 20 years. How's the most sacked quarterback this season? And that is just a huge mismatch in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm looking at Andrew Wiley, right tackle for the Washington Commanders. I think the Eagles have a really good matchup there. Andrew Wiley has given up 3 sacks and 8 pressures and 138 pass blocking snaps through 3 games. Keep an eye on that one. Cam Jurgens versus Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. You mentioned it, LJ. I really like what I saw out of Cam Jurgens in week 2. I think he's definitely making progress. He's not given a sack. He's not had any penalties. He's only given up 5 total pressures in 116 pass blocking snaps. So Cam Jurgens is playing extremely well. And when you pair that with Kelsey and Landon Dickerson, my goodness, it's pretty amazing. Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, I don't really need to talk about those guys. Those guys are terrific. I'm hoping to see Cam Jurgens keep that momentum going. And then Jordan Davis versus Sam Cosmi. That's going to be a really good matchup. Sam Cosmi is arguably definitely their best offensive lineman. I'm excited to see how Davis matches up there. So those are my 3 matchups to watch. Not surprise to anybody if you watch these shows. It's always the trenches. I'm always watching the trenches. They're my favorite. So with that being said, we are going to get into our 5 keys to victory. But before we do that, I'm going to throw it to Al for our next ad.
One key to victory is always going to sherrystickets.com because that's the keys to getting the best tickets at the best prices that are hard to get. sherrystickets.com, family-owned and operated, sports, concerts, theaters, you name it, they got it. sherrystickets.com. And like I always tell people, no hidden fees. You're not going to go to checkout like some of those other places do and get stuck with $100, $150, $200 service fee. But guess what? You'll get great prices you see on the screen with no scary hidden fees at the end, and save yourself an additional 10% off using that great promo code EOP10, right? EOP10 saves 10% off. Already great prices at sherrystickets.com. Sports, concerts, theaters. Phillies are in the postseason now. You're going to need those postseason tickets. They're already sold out. You know they are. I go to sherrystickets.com. That's where I get my tickets, and I use EOP10, save 10% off.
All right. I'm going to go first. Top 5 keys to victory. These are pretty quick. I'm just going to shout them out. Number 5 for me, fast out the gate. Take out the Commanders early. That's what I'm looking for. The Commanders had slow starts on offense to start this season. They've only got 26 points in the first half through the first 3 games. They were down 16-0 against the Bills. For me, I really want to see the Eagles just take this team out from the jump. Number 4, read the room. It's time for Reed Blankenship to get some love. I think Reed has been fantastic this year. He got an interception against Baker Mayfield last week. I think his coverage and run defense have both been stellar. I like Reed's chances to blow up Brian Johnson Jr. and Antonio Gibson in the backfield, man. Maybe get an interception based on just how much of an advantage the Eagles should be getting pressure on Sam Howell in this one. So Reed Blankenship, my number 4. Number 3, the return of the Eagles linebackers. And it's shocking because, like, if you were to ask me a month ago about the state of the Eagles linebacker core, like, I would have been panicking. I would have been freaking. I would have said this is one of the worst in the league. And Nick Morrow and Zach Cunningham have been really solid, especially with Dean going down. You look at run defense snaps, run stops, coverage snaps, quarterback rating allowed. I'm not comparing them, but Cunningham and Morrow have numbers right at the same as Fred Warner for the Niners. It's crazy. I'm not saying they're all pros, but for what we expected versus what we're getting, they've been really good. And that just talks so much about how elite this Eagles run defense has been, man. They've been plugging holes. They've been doing a terrific job. So the turn of the Eagles linebackers is my number 3. Number 2, no surprise, let the dogs eat. That is Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Keep them coming, man. Those two are, in my opinion, some of the biggest reasons why the Eagles pass rush has been doing so much damage. Through 3 games, the Eagles have the NFL's 26th blitz rate, bringing 5 or more on only 20.9% of defensive snaps. That's largely because they're rushing 4, and they have the 9th best defensive pressure percentage at 27.1%. And that was like after a week 1 where they were getting pressure, but they couldn't get home. Huge advantage there. I expect maybe we'll get double-digit sacks today. I don't know. That would be pretty fun. And number 1 for me, key to victory is take care of the biz. And by that, I'm talking about the Eagles offense needs to take care of business inside the red zone. That's the biggest thing for me in this one. When you look at red zone scoring percentage, the Eagles offense is not getting it done. The Eagles offense is 7th in yards per game. They're 6th in first downs per game. They're 2nd best in time of possession per game, but they're currently tied for 25th in red zone scoring percentage. That's touchdowns only. The Eagles red zone scoring percentage was 6th best in the NFL in 2022 at 91.5%. They were elite last year. So if the Eagles offense can get home consistently and limit turnovers in the red zone, I think Washington just has no shot. They have no shot at getting the W here. I'll throw it to you, LJ. What are your top 5 keys to victory for the Birds.
All right, so in no particular order, Hurts has to protect the football. Last year, he was limited in turning the ball over, but he got three interceptions and a fumble this year, so he needs to protect the football. They have to stop the run. Last year's matchup in Philly, the Eagles had less than 20 minutes of time of possession, and Washington just controlled the line of scrimmages and ran the football at will. Next is going to be get after Sam Howell. I mentioned 19 sacks in 3 games. Don't let Sam Howell beat you. That shouldn't happen in a game like this. Next, get Goddard, Smith, Brown involved early. If you get them involved early and get them going, the offense should be able to have smooth sailing throughout the game. And last but not least, force turnovers. Give the offense a short field, and hopefully they can convert in the red zone. Like you said, they're not converting as well as they were last year so far this year. But let's get them some confidence. Give them a short field, and if you can have this 2-3 score game at halftime, Washington might not come out of the locker room after the half. So they're my 5 keys to the game.
Yep. Expect a lot of short, quick passes from Sam Howell today. I think we're going to be seeing that just based on how elite this 4-man rush has been for the Eagles. That's kind of like the counter. I think we're going to be seeing that all season long, just quarterbacks just getting rid of the ball. And I think Sean Desai's okay with that, as long as they're not giving up the big plays and keeping everything in front of them. I think they're going to be fine with that. Al, what are your top 5 keys?
Number 5, foot on the pedal. Not too unlike what you said, Dives. You just got to keep going. And actually, foot on the pedal / foot on the throat. When you have them down, keep them down. Don't let up. It's offense, defense, I don't care. I don't want anything else but complete and utter dominance moving forward. O-line, keep dominating. We saw week 1, not the greatest scene from the O-line. Each week they keep doing better. And this week, I expect only the best, especially with some of the elite guys that they have in their front on the defense. So O-line, keep dominating, keep doing what they're doing, and help open those lanes. The next one kind of goes off of that one. Pass or run, I don't care. Win the game. Everybody's always they had to run the ball 300 yards to win. Who cares? I don't care how it happens. 5 throwing touchdowns, 5 running touchdowns. Just get it done. Doesn't matter. Progress. Everybody keep making progress, especially Jalen Hurts, but progress. That's what we talked about earlier. This should be the key of right now of week 4. Progress forward on every ounce of the game. And then my big one is offense, have fun, but make a statement. Because when this team has fun, especially the offense, they are cooking. And everybody's having a good time, and everybody's sharing in the wealth, and that's when this team is dominant.
Love it, man. We have Trending in the AM commenting 31 stress-free Eagles victory. My man Phil will be joining us for post-game. We'll get into plugs in just a little bit, but thanks for joining. Phil, Steven says Barnett absolutely has played. He has a lot of Mike Mamola almost, and he was wide AF on that safety. Mary's in the house saying, let's go. Good morning. Family, go Birds. Thanks for joining. Brad's in the house. What's going on, Brad? Go Birds. And Quentin says, agreed. I hope this is a statement game. Let's jump into player of the game and score predictions. Al, should we do another ad or should we jump in?
Yeah, let's do the ad real quick, guys. Right now they're playing Washington at home, but guess what? When they go down to Washington for another beatdown, of course, I go to phillysportstrips.com. October 29th is a trip. It's a great bus trip. I went last year with over 1,000 Eagles fans, multiple buses, great food, great drinks. We had our own section of the parking lot. It was a sea of green, an amazing game, an amazing time. And talk about stress-free. You don't have to worry about food, transportation, or ticket. phillysportstrips.com has it all locked down for you with great prices. And also, don't forget, for you guys like you and I don't like to travel, they have home games. Home games, that's right. They got great at the live casino, great tailgates. Again, stress-free. Don't have to worry about bringing your grill, your cooler, or anything like that. One flat fee, bing, bang, boom. You have a place to go and great food, great drinks, great times with amazing people. Like, for instance, you might meet a Hollis Thomas or a Jason Avant on one of these great times. Go to phillysportstrips.com for this and all their other great trips, phillysportstrips.com.
All right. Brad says Eagles have home field advantage. Do you think the offense and defense can beat the Commanders? Absolutely. And truth be told, we don't need a blowout, but the undertones are reserved for big Philly moments. Let's get into our score and player of the game predictions. Al, lead us off, man. What's your gut feel?
My score is 31-14, and 7 of those 14 points is a garbage time touchdown. So I'm going 31-14. And my player of the game is the return of Skinny Batman. I am going Devontae Smith. After all that's been talked this week, and it always just seems, at least this year, they kind of target on a certain guy. We saw Brown last week. We saw DeAndre the week before. I think everybody's going to get into the mix a little bit more on this one. But I think if you have to go just by the stats-wise, I'm saying 2 TDs for Devontae.
Woo. All right, Devontae for Big Al. What about you, LJ?
My score is 24-14. I think it's going to be a little low scoring, and I think it's going to be a little closer than a lot of people think. The Eagles will get a late field goal to give it a 2-score lead. And I'm going a little different. I'm going Brian Johnson as the player of the game. Brian Johnson, and to continue to progress, as Alice said, progression. He'll continue to progress with the play calling. Him and Hurts will continue to get into rhythm, and he'll get the offense going. So I have Eagles 24-14 with Brian Johnson, the coach to watch.
Awesome. This guy's going to the game in DC, so we'll see you down there for sure. Brad says, question, who do you think will have the most carries? It better be DeAndre Swift. It'll be Swift in the first half and Gainwell in the second. So it'll probably balance out somehow. Probably like 60-40 Swift to Gainwell is my guess.
Does Penny get any love today?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do they even like him? Do they like him? I don't even know that.
I think he will probably like after the bye. I think they'll probably rotate a little more there as we get going, and then keep Swift fresh. I think that's got to be the goal. All right. Player of the game, Jalen Carter. That is my player of the game prediction, as I said on Birds of the Round Table. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say something I've never say on these things, and I have not wavered one little bit. Eagles win 41-14. I think this is their first 40-burger of the season. I think they're going to crush the Commanders. Their pass rush, I think this is a game from Jalen Hurts. The 2022 Jalen Hurts finally shows up here against the Commanders. We haven't even had an A game, a B game from Jalen Hurts. This is the game where Jalen Hurts just destroys and cements himself again as a runner-up or a potential MVP candidate. Quentin says, Carter, Eagles win 30-20. My prediction is going to be 34-7. Real question, player of the game is Howie Roseman. I love it. Wow, Penny will get over 10 touches per season or in this game? I want to know. That's a take. Quentin says Brian Johnson is a good pick. I want to see the offense explode today. Anthony chimes in. Eagles will start off good, but then fizzle second or third quarters. Washington comes back and has a chance to win. Really good chance of that.
Oh, Anthony, you're hurting my
feelings. It's pretty realistic.
Realistic. He's absolutely correct. Listen, yeah. It hurts my feelings.
Player of the game for Brad is going to be Jalen Hurts. And then Steven says you should do a show with Matty B. And then Eagles Nation, let's go Birds, says Jeremy. So all three of us picking the Eagles in this one. A lot of us, again, I don't see a single position where the Commanders have an advantage over the Philadelphia Eagles. As long as the Eagles take advantage of the red zone opportunities, keep it clean, no stupid penalties, no turnovers. I think the Eagles are going to be in a really good spot for the W in this one. That being said, final thoughts, LJ, plugs. Let's wrap it up.
Look, we talked about it at the beginning. I'm happy we have a 1 o'clock game finally. I get we're a primetime team now, but let's get an early game every once in a while. And of course, both Washington games are at 1 o'clock. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The Eagles should win. And we should be 4-0 heading to LA next week. You can catch me on Twitter at LJHorrell54. And then catch the Kelly Green Hour on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. My co-host Connor does a good job of updating the Twitter on game days. And we'll be back on Tuesday night with our our reaction to today's game between the Eagles and the Commies.
All right, that is the Kelly Green Hour podcast. Amazing. They Tuesday nights, sometimes Friday, sometimes Saturday. Previews, analysis, game recaps. It's all there, man. Amazing stuff. You and Connor do such an amazing job. Of course. Quentin says Eagles fizzling at the end to make things close is the realest take ever. Al, you're up, man. Final thoughts. Plugs.
Final thoughts is just this is. I guess I'm an old man. Love these 1:00 games nowadays. But just sit back, enjoy, and hopefully there's no fizzling out. The only fizz is coming from that beer when you crack it that you have to worry about today. But guys, check me out Wednesday nights at 8:30, of course, here at EOP Live. Of course, on the Fighting's Final, which we'll have all lined up. Real special for you guys. Great schedule coming out with the postseason coming, as well as behind the scenes. Check out EOPsports.com and on all our social media. And here is the lineup for the rest of the day for you guys who are going to be joining us. So if you missed it, if you want to see, Dibs will be back at halftime with Shane, and of course running the post-game show with James Scorza and Austin Hamill.
All right, so there it is. Again, we will see you at halftime. It's like a 5 to 10 minute show, just trying to beat the clock and talk top reaction, Jalen Hurts grades, everything in between there. So he is Big Al. That is LJ. I am Dives. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Go Birds. We'll see you at halftime. Stay awesome, everyone.